Okay, I'm going to be going a million miles an hour because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. This week, we're not so much into the textbook. Instead, we're working out of this document. You're not reading the whole thing. You're reading basically pages 8. Come on, work with me. You're reading from page 8 to page 13. The titles, the titles that you're supposed to be reading are written right here along with the page numbers. We still do have a little bit out of the textbook though. And that's the one kind of different procedure-based thing. Instead of so much out of the textbook, it's that document. Now, shifting gears into content mode. Basically, what we're talking about with 2.3 is what caused the growth of trade, what were the effects of the growth of trade, and then basically we're focusing on a specific cause of the growth of trade, which is environmental factors. Okay, so we're actually going to work our way backwards. We're going to start with those environmental factors, and then we're going to come and talk about how technology caused the growth of trade, and then we'll talk about the effects. So first off, the big impact, the big cause of trade has to do with environmental factors. So specifically monsoon winds, monsoon currents, which are a weather pattern that'll help really speed up a ship who is entirely dependent upon the weather, right? We're talking about ships that are entirely influenced by the environment that they're in, whether it be the current of the water or whether it be the direction of the wind. These ships, like the Dow, are entirely based upon, see if I can find a good picture of that one, entirely based upon environmental factors. Okay, pretty simple. The Chinese junk is another one. Okay, so that's a combination of our environmental factors and our technological factors, which is the next cause of trade. Okay, so this, of course, is the Chinese junk, which is not a particularly like like these. The Dows are very maneuverable, very fast ships. The Dows, that was not a concern, or excuse me, the junks. The junks were more about how can we fit a lot of crap on this thing. And boy, did they. They got a lot of stuff on these junks. And they were also just enormous. If we look at the fleets of Zheng He, he built some of the biggest Chinese junks. Okay, so there we're kind of starting to talk about this is a wonder. We're starting to talk about the technologies that allowed this and how that caused the trade or allowed for it. These things were so big that they actually had rice paddies on them to help feed the people as they went on enormously long travels. It's really a fascinating story. So we talked about the monsoon wind as an environmental factor. Then we started talking about technology, okay, with the Chinese junk and the Dow, Arab Dow. Another one is the compass, right? Compasses help you figure out which direction is north, okay? The astrolabe. The astrolabe helps you figure out how far north or south you are, okay? Astrolabe. And all of those are necessary because the ocean looks like the ocean looks like the ocean. There's no landmarks on the ocean for you to figure out where you're going. It's also quite hard to have a map of the ocean. They do exist. They are essential pieces, but it's not like big mountain here, forest over here that you could see on a land map and figure out where you need to go. All right. So those are elements of technology that really do cause trade. Another one is simply demand. right? People will buy spices because they like good food. People will buy gold because it is an important economic factor. People like porcelain. People like all the different trade goods that you're going to read about. All right. Now, impacts. What are the effects of this? What's the result of this? I'm right on the edge of my timeline. The growth of empires. Okay. You're going to have empires like the Srivijaya Empire and Indian Ocean trade. All this money, all these people moving around, it builds up these empires like Srivijaya. Another one is going to be diasporic communities, which is just like, with immigration in the United States. We have a large Hispanic population that moves to the United States, and what happens? Their culture blends together, right? We have things like Tex-Mex, which is, right, Texas Mexican, blending of those two cultures for the food. We have Spanglish, people who combine Spanish and English verbiage to kind of develop their own language that way. Okay, so diasporic community is simply when you see one specific ethnicity that is a part of that locality, right? We have an ethnicity, a culture that is a part of a specific area that gets picked up and dropped off in another area. And it never stays exactly the same. It always blends with the other. Think about Hispanic culture in the United States. Okay. Oh, bollocks.